On May 1st, 2023, Vivek Murthy, U.S. Surgeon General, declared an epidemic of loneliness and isolation.
Being socially disconnected is bad both for individual and societal health. Lacking connection can increase the risk of premature death to levels comparable to smoking daily. About 1 in 2 American adults report experiencing loneliness. Everyone can be impacted. Now is the time to invest in building social connection.
In this video, we'll talk about parks. You might be thinking, what do parks have to do with loneliness? Or urbanism for that matter? Everything. Welcome to Heartland Urbanist. Let's dig in. I'm Matt Caffrey, a dad and an organizer from Columbus, Ohio. I make videos about cities and urbanism in the Midwest. Let's step back and talk about the link between the lack of social connection that's driving the loneliness epidemic and social infrastructure. Then we'll dive into the history and present of parks in Midwestern cities. Last, we'll talk about how Midwestern cities can build on their strengths to provide better access to parks and the social connections they create. Chapter 1, Loneliness and Social Infrastructure. In my day job, I organize local volunteer groups to elect leaders who will build a more just society. So building social connection is of huge interest to me, and I've seen firsthand how the way our cities are built, their social infrastructure, can influence the likelihood of forming social connections. Driving separates us, but transit and active transportation bring us together. Sprawling suburbs separate us. Mixed-use, dense, and walkable communities bring us together. In one memorable example from Eric Kleinberg's fantastic 2018 book, Palaces for the People, people who lived in neighborhoods with more social infrastructure, libraries, community centers, and parks, were less likely to die in Chicago's deadly 1995 heat wave, even when factoring in race, income, and other factors. Not only did they have places to go to beat the heat, they were also more likely to have formed connections with others who then checked in on them to make sure they were coping with the heat. People who were not so fortunate died alone in sweltering apartments. Social infrastructure gives people third places, places that aren't work or home, where they can spend time and form social connections. That can be making friends, or just as importantly for our mental health, casual acquaintances. Other third places include libraries, community centers, bars, and bowling alleys. The best third places are free so that everyone can benefit from them. In addition to being free third places, parks are important social infrastructure for other reasons. Parks give us space to exercise. Spending time in nature is linked to reduced stress, anxiety, and depression and can improve cognitive function. They improve our local air quality, reduce noise pollution, and the risk of flooding. They make communities more desirable to live in or open a business in. But for all of those benefits, the opportunity to build social connections may be the most impactful. Those connections can happen formally or informally. They can be private or public. Here's an example. Private formal, birthday party in the park. Private informal, play date. Public formal, community festival. Public informal, a pickup basketball game. I've experienced this firsthand. We've gotten drinks with other parents we met at the playground, run into parents we know from daycare at community events in the park, and formed countless casual acquaintances with neighbors we see at the park. Parks are especially critical as part of our urban landscapes. Instead of sprawling suburbs where every home has their own large lawn, we have communal backyards where we can get away, come together, or just enjoy a walk. And the trade-off, less private outdoor space in exchange for better access to public parks, is good for our emotional, physical, and social well-being. It's part of what makes our cities livable and enjoyable. Chapter 2, Parks in Midwestern Cities. Cities in the Midwest have some of the best park systems in the U.S. In the Trust for Public Lands rankings, which consider access, funding, amenities, and equity, 4 of the top 6 cities are in the Midwest: St. Paul, Cincinnati, Minneapolis, and Chicago. Most Midwestern cities score in the top 25% of cities nationally, and the worst performing city in the Midwest, Detroit, still ranks 57th out of 100, which is not bad. Chicago is home to some of the nation's most famous parks, especially Lincoln Park, Millennium Park, and Jackson Park. Cleveland's metro parks are one of the oldest in the nation, and they were a model for many other metro and regional park systems across the country. Midwestern cities grew during a golden era of parks. They have temperate climates, they have easier geography than some other parts of the country, but there's also a Midwestern culture of taking pride in our public spaces and public amenities. There are two general categories of parks worth discussing. First, city parks are often smaller pockets in neighborhoods with basic amenities. The Trust for Public Land grades cities on the percentage of their residents who live within a 10-minute walk of a park, and this is the kind of park that ensures that access. Our local park is just a few minutes walk away. It has a walking path, a playground, a few picnic tables, and a big open green space that can be used for events. There's a larger park a few minutes further away, with a community center, an amphitheater, basketball and tennis courts, a pond, grills, and other amenities. Metro parks, or regional parks, also play an important role in helping people connect with others and with nature. These parks have longer hiking trails, waterway access, and other amenities or programs that take up more space.
We're just a few steps outside of central downtown Dublin, Ohio, but it feels like we're secluded, miles away from civilization. We're in a park called Indian Run Falls, and there's these beautiful waterfalls and a path that goes along the kind of cliff that goes along the stream, and there's a bridge over it. We're under the bridge here, and it's just a beautiful, secluded place, and there's lots of folks out today. We're out here on Mother's Day. Lots of folks out here, walking their dogs, out with their families. We had a picnic. It's really, really lovely. And these are exactly the kind of amenities that people need for their mental, physical, emotional, social health and well-being. And these sorts of amenities support community cohesion as well, bringing people together and leading to folks interacting, having those casual connections that are so important to overcoming the epidemic of loneliness.
When these parks first opened in the early 20th century, they were typically connected by interurban lines or streetcars, trolleys, etc. For example, Cleveland's first metro park, Rocky River, was at the end of two of Cleveland's streetcar lines. And Columbus's High Street trolley ended at Olentangy Park. Sadly, today most regional parks are only truly accessible by car. I should also say some Midwestern cities have easy access to national parks, but I'll save that topic for a future video. Chapter 3, expanding access to parks. Listen, overall, the Midwest has a lot to be proud of when it comes to parks. Cities in other parts of the country can learn a lot from what we're doing right. 99% of St. Paul residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park, and their programs, amenities, and features are stunning. And the city is working hard to improve equity of access for people of color and low-income people. That said, especially for metro and regional parks, cities should invest in making these amazing amenities more accessible to more people, especially people without access to a car. Transit and active transportation access, especially safe bike infrastructure, should be a priority. Here in my hometown of Columbus, there are some interesting projects being discussed. Rapid 5 is an initiative to connect our region's 5 waterways through a connected network of trails, parks, and other amenities. It's exciting, but it's unclear what the prospects of those plans are. Some Midwestern cities also need to secure sufficient funding to ensure all of their citizens have easy access to parks and sufficient amenities, especially with higher levels of work from home today, which means many of our parks have more demand than ever. Columbus, Toledo, and Detroit in particular could do better on funding. There's also a role for all of us to play in leveraging the great parks we have to build social connection in our communities and address the epidemic of loneliness, whether it's participating in a community garden, organizing a meetup to practice yoga, or picking up trash the next time you're out on a walk in the park. You can also join your local park advocacy organization. In Columbus, that's Friends of Metro Parks. Link in the description. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and let me know if I missed anything. I really have loved seeing your comments on the video so far, and I'd love to hear your ideas for future videos. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you're interested in more videos about urbanism in the Midwest. Heartland Urbanist is also available on urbanists.video, a free, community-driven YouTube alternative. We post all of our videos there, ad-free, 1 week earlier. So go check us out over at urbanists.video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.